We've all been there. The quit moment. The moment you need to decide if the grind is really worth it to get that one item you need to take your character to the next level. The quit moment is when your determination is tested and your commitment and perseverance are stretched to the limit. Every obstacle that a player needs to overcome is a potential quit moment. Today I'm going to share with you what my Lord of the Rings Online quit moments were and how I overcame them. I've been playing LOTRO for 12 plus years, and it is still my favorite game because of the community. However, I've seen many new players and endgame players quit this game, and it's given me pause to consider why some of us will never leave Middle-earth and some decide to travel past the havens onto greener pastures. This is by no means supposed to be a commentary on your personal choices, whether to play or not play LOTRO. It is also not meant to be a slight on SSG, who with limited resources have done an amazing job keeping LOTRO going for 16 plus years, for which I'm totally grateful, because LOTRO is where my friends are at. So, in no particular order, here are 5 quit moments that, in my opinion, I believe LOTRO players are faced with and that I personally experienced. If there are any quit moments that I've missed, then please drop a comment below to let me know what quit moments you have overcome or that, well, made you quit the game. The loading screen does not work as intended for everyone. Looking through recent social media and Discord posts, there are players who still struggle with just logging into the game. There are various reasons for this. Not having it set to the right bitrate, not having the correct DirectX plugins, and the list goes on. I know some players that have sunk 10 plus hours into just working on getting the game to launch. Eventually, they threw in the towel and went on their merry way to go play SWTOR. Their systems are capable of gaming, but for whatever reason cannot overcome the obstacle of getting into the game. I have heard that it's better if you download the game directly from the LOTRO website and not go through Steam, but then I've heard the opposite as well. If you're having difficulty diagnosing how to even get the game to work, I highly suggest reaching out to the LOTRO community on the forum pages under player-to-player assistance under technical support. There's always someone willing to give you advice. You can also submit a help ticket and wait. But for some, this is sadly a definite quit moment. There are hundreds of games out there to play. So why waste your time on a game you can't even get into? There is a lot of content in LOTRO. Hundreds of hours of questing and exploration to enjoy. For new solo players, this can be a lonely journey. You can quest through certain areas of the game and go for many hours without seeing any players in that area. Unlike Star Wars: The Old Republic, where your character scales automatically depending on the zone you're in, making it enticing to go back to earlier zones for dailies, LOTRO has very little incentive to return to earlier zones. As such, the journey from Hobbiton to Mordor can feel lonely, and not like a fellowship. Yes, LOTRO has seen an influx of players this past year, but a lot of those players haven't even made it past level 50 yet, and are still many months away from reaching endgame unless they use a Valar. LOTRO's response to this was to create legendary servers, where the content would be released in a drip fashion to allow people to reach endgame at the same time. There are 2 types of servers: Shadowfax for those that want to progress quickly, and Treebeard for those that want to take their time. Overall, this has been a good idea, but the problem is that these servers have already matured and new players are faced with the same problem as on regular servers. The quit moment comes when you're in Moria killing your 100th bat and asking yourself if this grind to get one more virtue point is really worth the effort. If you find yourself feeling alone in Middle-earth, then I highly suggest that you consider joining a kinship and/or a Discord group to seek for players to group up with. The best place to start is to keep an eye on World Chat to see if people are recruiting, or group up with a random person and ask them about their kin. Gone are the days when people had to group up together for landscape content in order to get through it. And yes, I do realize that they've just released Heroic +2, which is supposed to make landscape difficulty harder, but I've already seen too many content creators soloing that to see it as a valid solution to force people to group together. If you reach level 140 and think you have completed the game, you are far from being done. You have now reached what is commonly referred to as endgame, but instead of being invited into the big 12-person raids, you will now run into the trouble that absolutely no one wants to take you on these raids. I've been there, so I know the feeling of utter disappointment. First, I need you to understand that it is not personal, and they are not trying to be mean. Instead, it probably has to do with your gear. See, there is a gearing up process that you need to go through that is never really explained. You should start by maxing out the tracery levels on your legendary weapon, making sure that they are as high as you can possibly get them and that you have the right traceries set for group content. Next, you're going to want to start doing 3-mans and learn your role in a group and gain some experience. Playing in a group is very different from soloing, depending on the class you are on. Being part of a kinship or Discord group will help you find groups and help you learn what your group role is. Once you've farmed all the 3-man loot, you will progress to 6-mans and then up to 12-man raids. There are exceptions, however, and that the tier 1 12-person raids are often seen as story mode and thus easily beatable. So you may be able to get in on that earlier, but don't expect to go to a tier 2 12-person raid with only quest armor. Then there is learning about what stats you should optimize and how you should be allocating your essences, and so on. At the lower levels, the game handles all those decisions for you, but at the current endgame, those decisions are left up to you to make. A quit moment here is when a player realizes how much work it is going to take to gear out their character at endgame, and then decides it is just not worth their time. This is a personal decision that people are faced with primarily in how they want to allocate their time in real life, or just continue being a solo player. There is nothing wrong with deciding to stay a solo player. The beauty of Lotro is that you can enjoy the game however you want to. You've geared up, and you've mastered all your skills, and you're finally feeling ready for higher tier 12-man raids. But wait, now that you've made it into tier 2, you're continuously dying on the last boss over and over. And even if you learned how to master tier 2, you still wouldn't have access to all the loot and would need to learn tier 3. You will come face to face with your next quit moment. And whether you pass this moment is all based on whether you have the perseverance and drive to keep pushing yourself. Because now you have to learn about boss mechanics and everything that entails. On tier 3, you will learn that each boss fight becomes an intricate dance, and if even one member of the raid messes up, it can be a cascading event that causes the entire team to wipe. There is little room for error in tier 3. The quit moment here is when you need to decide whether you're going to be a casual raider, meaning you're doing raiding just to hang out with friends and have a fun time, or whether you want to beat that next tier and get that amazing set bonus gear. And you're willing to put in 10 plus hours a week to get there. I know some tier 5 raiding groups that raid 4 to 5 hours every single night. That is not for me, and I'm okay with not being a tier 5 raider. However, I do work hard on tier 4. The casual raider will quickly realize that their real life responsibilities do not allow them the time to dedicate to tier 3 plus raiding, and that is totally fine. Many people will quit once they realize what is required and know they won't be able to get the loot without a big time sink. At this point, they decide to stay a casual raider or return to being a solo player. There is nothing wrong with this decision, but it may be one of the hardest decisions as it means stepping away from friends. There is a season in life for everything, and people's decisions should be respected. The next quit moment comes when you realize you need to surround yourself with players who are as dedicated as you are. You will either need to create your own team or find a team who is willing to take you on and give you a chance. Problem is that many of the existing teams have been playing together for months and have a shorthand that they use. Trust each other to do what needs to be done. That it is difficult breaking in a new teammate, because there is so much that needs to be learned. The quit moment comes when you or the group realizes that this is not going to be a good fit. The best thing you can do if you find yourself in this situation is to ask people to critique your gameplay so that you can know how to improve. Being open to learning and showing that you're doing everything to improve is what most people would expect, because we've all been there. The easiest way to get benched by a group is by refusing to adapt and overcome to the boss mechanics, by not working on your character. But when you do find a team that you connect with, it will be a wonderful experience, as you'll grow to be friends, since you'll be spending hundreds of hours together. A bonus quit moment is when the instance just breaks and you have to start all over. That has happened more times than I care to admit, but perseverance here is key. You can tell the real measure of a group if they just laugh it off and say, working as intended, and then goes at it again without complaint. These groups are the gems that you want to work with. These are all the personal quit moments that I've experienced in the past 2 years of playing Lotro. I've been fortunate to overcome each moment, but only because I had exceptional friends around me who would not let me quit when Rimmel killed us for the 100th time. For more content like this, please hit the like and subscribe buttons below and leave a comment to let me know if I missed any of your quit moments.